sentence. Because they have written mass letters.
Mr. Chairman, kasi po, no procedure, depende po sa content ng excuse letter, if it is valid or not. That's why, I suggest, kaya lang, matagal tayo dito, I suggest sana na we will discuss each and every excuse letter. Kasi magkaiba pong reason at saka content ng letter. Diba? For example, in the case of the person that was mentioned by Congressman Natakot, ganon po yung sagot niya. She invited her, babae ba? Shall we invite her again? Or is she a show cause order? For me, Mr. Chairman, that is offensive and we should also issue a show cause order for her. And we will not just invite her in the next hearing, we will issue a show cause order for that person. Mr. Chairman.
According sa, okay, thank you so much for that, Congressman Paduano. According sa Section 9 of our rules, witnesses have been granted more than two postponements of appearance before the committee without justifiable cause. So can issue a show cause order because wala silang justifiable reason.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Congressman Natakot, please.
we must distinguish the resource person who was invited but did not offer any excuse from the resource person who was invited but came up with a letter excuse. So why should we treat them the same? According to our protocols, as we have done in the previous committee hearings, those invited persons who did not offer any excuse, the next order is for the committee to issue a show cause order to explain why. And for those people who offered an excuse for their absence, it's up for the committee to determine whether the excuse is acceptable or not. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I think we have so many excuse letters that were given to us by the COMSEC.
Mr. Chair,
And then,
particularly,
yes.
the excuse order, the excuse letter of this Miss Elizabeth Joey Cruz. She said, I know that the time of the committee is precious and I am coming from deep concern on prudent utilization of public resources. Mr. Chair, this is not respecting. She would say the utilization of public resources. I therefore take a motion here that we issue a show cause order on this Elizabeth Joey Cruz. I move therefore, Mr. Chair.
So there's a motion to issue a show cause order to that resource person. What's the name? Elizabeth Cruz, and there was a second motion. Any objection? If not, the second motion is now. Yung po yung merong excuse letter, and there's still a lot. Like for example, yung kay Sean Wayne, kay Maui Spencer, kay Ethel Garcia. You have to read the content of their excuse letter. Like for example, one of these, you want to move on this, or you want to discuss this on a later part of the discussion? Or you want to have an omnibus motion with all of this, But there are excuse letters which are valid. Like for example, this personality, nasa Singapore siya. So, katulad ito, out of the county si Maui Spencer, nothing there in our country yet. Nasa Singapore siya for vacation. So, excuse you, yung mga attorney Apiles, sige. After having discussion with my lawyers, isa-isa na natin ito kung gusto nyo. Okay, after having discussion with my lawyers, I regret to inform you that I won't be attending the hearing today because the objective of the hearing is an attempt to curtail the people's right to expression. So, kay Junabines.
With that excuse letter, Mr. Chairman, I found it not valid and I'm to issue as your course order for that. Junaminas, Mr.
Okay, there's a motion
Chairman.
to issue a showcase order to this resource person. Any second motion? Second, there's a second motion. And objection, hearing none, the said motion is now approved.
You know, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Go ahead.
you know, Mr. Chair, para lang doon sa mga nanonood, no, ito pong hearing na ito ay hindi para kitilin o isuppress yung freedom of speech nila. Wala ho kaming ganong layunin. Ang layunin po natin dito ay gawa ng pulisiya ang paggamit ng social media platforms. Dapat po meron tayong disiplina, meron tayong code of conduct, meron tayong ethics sa paggamit nitong social media. Hindi yung pagbukas mo ng social media, magmumura ka. Meron dyan, nagso-social media, nagbablog, ginawa araw-araw kundi manawagan ng kaguluhan sa ating bansa, nananawagan ng people power, nananawagan ng kudeta. Yung ba ay tama, Mr. Chair? Ang punto lang natin dito is magkaroon tayo ng ganitong regulasyon o regulatory policy para kagaya po ng mga broadcasters, meron po silang KBP, kagaya po ng mga manunulat sa dyaryo, meron po silang NUJP. They're all bound by rules and regulations. But in this social media, the use of social media platforms, unfortunately, wala po tayong ganyan sa ngayon. At hindi po pwede na gawin pong rason ng mga yan na meron tayong freedom, na kinekartel natin yung freedom of speech nila. Huwag niyo pong lukohin ang taong bayan. Wala hong curtailment o suppression ng freedom of speech dito. Kaya nga kayo inimbita rito eh. Diba? Kaya kayo inimbita dito para magpahayag din kayo. O, hindi mo ba iyan ay tamang freedom of expression? Eh ba't ngayon nagpapadala kayo ng mga sulat na hindi kayo pwede kasi hindi kayo naniniwala sa layunin ng pagdinig na ito? Eh, wag po kayo magtago sa mga ganyan. Ang tatapang nyo, sabi nga ni Congressman Abante, in the advent of social media, suddenly Filipinos become political analysts. They become journalists. They become experts. Eh, we need your wisdom. Diba? Kayo, ang gagaling nyo magpuligsa eh. Dito nyo gawin, para nang sa ganun, makagawa tayo ng isang pulisiya na hindi po maabuso ito. Eh kayo, nandiyan kayo sa social media. Kung mag-retire kayo, wala na kayo, hindi na kayo nagbablog. Paano kaya yung mga susunod na mga vloggers? Yun lamang po ang layunin natin dito. Kaya huwag kayong magdahilan na hindi kayo napupunta rito dahil hindi kayo pupunta rito kasi hindi kayo naniniwala sa layunin ng investigasyon na ito. We want to craft a policy, a remedial legislation, so that there will be discipline and code of ethics in the practice and use of our social media platform, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. 7 na lang naman pala ito. So, tapusin na natin kay Pierre. Ito may excuse letter din si Mark Anthony de la Cruz Lopez. I was supposed to stand in front of this committee today. What has been assembled as inquiry on fake news peddlers, narco-bloggers, and FOGO-funded bloggers in need of legislation. I would love to really open up and tell you my story on how I evolved from being an ordinary citizen. Mahaba po siya, mga 5 pages siya. Pero tinitingnan ko po, you see Mr. Fernandez and Barbers, I reiterate that I am a citizen of the Republic and I actually understand that the premise of your so-called inquiry is without basis, nor cannot understand on solid legal ground. I therefore invoke my rights.
The letter, yes.
Okay, so there's a motion. Mark Anthony Lopez, any second motion?
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none? Yes, this motion is not. Okay. At naman kinagalit ni Atty. Trixie Angeles, I respectfully decline this invitation as I question the legality of the inquiry as well as the proposed legislation for being violative of the constitutional guarantee of free speech.
Is he a lawyer? Is he a lawyer?
Yes, Atty. Trixie.
Lawyer.
I think, attorney. So what's the pleasure about
Mr. Chairman, I might have two motions. First motion, Mr. Chairman, is to issue a order to attorney what?
Please, Angeles.
Attorney Angeles. That is my first motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, about the...
I second the motion.
Duly seconded, any objection, any unanimous motion is tabled.
My second motion, Mr. Chairman, is for the legal of this House to study if ever there is relation, because he is an officer of the court. And he should respect the constitutional duty of Congress. And question of legality, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully move that we will consult the legal department of this House for a possible disbarment case against Attorney Flexi Angeles po. So po, Mr. Chairman.
The congressman is hereby directed, it's a motion. So there's a motion.
Second.
Wait. The motion is to ask the
The legal department for a possible disbarment case against Attorney Tricia Angeles.
So there's a motion cited by Congressman Paduano. Any second motion? Duly seconded, any objection? Any unanimous motion is now approved. About Richard Mata, thank you for your invitation. I just received this yesterday, just a day before the event. I consulted my was advised to attend. The late invitation plus the clear purpose of the event, we support the freedom of speech. So, what's the pleasure of this body?
The same thing with the others, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion
But I think
to
we have the
issue of show of order.
There's a motion, any second motion? Duly seconded, any objection? Hearing none, the said motion is now approved. On the Aaron Peña, while I initially wanted to accept, I would like to respectfully decline your invitation to share my knowledge on matters that were raised by Representative Ace Barbers in his speeches last year after a series of consultation with my lawyers. I would like to categorically state that I'm neither paid with POG operators nor drug lords, and so my knowledge is not used for the vote of the joint committee. Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to issue a show cause order for...
There's a motion to issue a show cause order to this person. And second motion. Second motion. Duly seconded. And objection, hearing none, the second motion. And Lisette Chu. This is reference to your invitation to the joint inquiry congressional hearing on social media. After careful consideration, we'd like to respectfully turn down your invitation due to these following reasons. Mahaba po yung reasons. 4 pages. And sa nababasa ko ang tema niya ay justification of the laws protecting the rights. So I think, what's the pleasure again? I think it's not about health reasons or whatever. It's also just trying not to be present on place here.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, I move to issue a show cause order
There's a motion to issue show cause order to Ms. Lisette Chu, and this was duly seconded. Hearing no objection, the said motion is now approved. About the Sean Wayne, it's a long excuse as well. No one issues and not out of the country. So I think same. No, it's not out of the country. So, nag-decline na siya. And this goes also to Ms. Ethel Garcia, para din nag-witness natin. So, dalawa po sila, same naman ang reason almost.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we issue a show cause order for both the invited senators mentioned by the chairman. So
There's a
move, Mr.
motion
Chairman.
to issue show cause order to Ms. Ethel Garcia and Shen Wayne. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, the said motion is now approved. So now we with the
Mr. Chairman, just one last
Yes.
admin.
11:30 na. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, the committee has received a letter coming from the Philippine Entertainment Portal, and they are requesting for the presence to be invited in the next hearing, Mr. Chairman, so that they can also give some inputs with regards to the House resolution that we are tackling in today's hearing, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
so we will be inviting them over as well. There's a motion, duly seconded by Congressman Luiso. Any objection? The said motion on the said motion. Hearing objection, the said motion is now approved. Okay, punta na po tayo sa flow ng presentation natin. Kanina, sabi po natin yung academic po mauna will be recognizing by Zoom si Dr. Rachel Khan, Associate Dean, UP College of Media and Communication. Pakinggan po natin yung mga taga-academic natin. Go ahead. Okay, so unahin po muna natin si Dr. Jonathan Ong, University of Massachusetts. Nandiyan po ba siya? Bayan Zoom kasi so bayan Zoom. Sige, go ahead. Dr. Ong, you are now recognized. Sige, Dr. Ong, you are now recognized. Please proceed.
Academic research and that on papers on social media and disinformation. Since 2016, I've collaborated with many news and nonprofit organizations in the country. Several of them are invited and present in these hearings. I've also presented in hearings on fake news elections as well as on foreign interference.
Jonathan, for a while, we have problem with the audio. Can you refrain from speaking just yet? So, technically, kindly paki-increase lang po yung volume. Mr. Dr. Jonathan, you can now proceed, please. We'll just try to check it out.
All right. Can you hear me fine?
Okay,
And
go
can
ahead,
you see
go
my
ahead.
presentation?
Much better. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, so magandang umaga po. I'm a professor based po ako dito sa Boston, but before I was a professor sa Ateneo de Manila. I'm a disinformation researcher and director of Sigla Research Center based in Manila, and I've been publishing academic research on social media and disinformation since 2016, and I've collaborated with many human rights organizations and newsrooms, some of them present in today's hearings. I've also presented at the Senate on fake news and elections, as well as on foreign interference. So ang una ko pong layunin sa araw nito ay magbahagi ng research on disinformation. Number two is to review trends in global context. It's important to conduct comparative research with our neighboring countries kung ano-ano na nga ba yung mga effective solutions based on other countries' direct experiences, including with legislation. Pag-usapan po natin kung paano maaaring suportahan at posibleng pondohan ng gobyerno ang iba't ibang mga interventions. Third, it's important that we share lessons of what has worked and what hasn't in the Philippine context, and what risks that researchers, journalists, and other organizations in this space have been facing. Fourth, I also wanted to share the vision of Sigla Research Center and myself as a sociologist in terms of tech justice here in the Philippine context. So my colleagues advocate for tech justice solutions that are sustainable, long-term, and aligned with our country's cultural context. So first, I wanted to share this free and open access resource for policymakers and also educators curated by Sigla Research Center. You can visit siglaresearchcenter.org and check out this research archive. Ito pong research archive collects many professors previously published research and policy papers on disinformation and influence operations. So na-publish na po siya sa iba't ibang bansa, pero na-collecto po siya dito sa research archive. Altogether, and reviewing all of them, you can learn about trends across 3 election cycles from 2016, 2019, and 2022 elections. Most recently, we have one paper that also summarizes trends across all 3. Some of you might know that as a sociologist, my specific methodology has also been focused on understanding the business of information for hire. Ito po yung paano magpatakbo ng digital operations during elections and yung mga kampanya, at kung ano-ano mga klase ng operators na kumikita campaigning. We also include papers on this archive led by other academics such as Fatima Gao, who discussed influencer marketing and paano kumikita ng pera ang mga influencers bawat halalan using advertising technology of social media platforms. Finally, we have collected research about counter-disinformation actors in the Philippines and kung ano-ano yung mga interventions na na-implement dito sa atin. So, baka may mga nakakaalam na po sa inyo itong research paper published noong 2018 entitled Architects of Network Disinformation. I was asked to share this with you again today. This research was co-authored with Jason Cabañas, and this analyzes the behind-the-scenes work of disinformation campaigns, how they are organized, the different kinds of workers involved, who sets the agenda, and who executes the campaign. So our research involved interviews with politicians, political operators at various levels of the hierarchy. Kasama na dito mga advertising and PR specialists, influencers, fake account operators, and digital volunteers. This academic paper has also been translated as a podcast produced by Puma Podcast, where we interviewed disinformation whistleblowers. So ito po yung mga operators na nagtrabaho sa mga political campaigns. You can hear them directly. Maririnig niyo how they were recruited into their work. 3 of our findings: political trolls are not tech-brainwashed, uneducated, poor voters in rural areas. Some of them are from middle-class families, and they see political trolling as just a side gig, a hustle to make ends meet. There are different kinds of workers, and we need to hold accountable the people at the top, yung mga elites in advertising and PR industries. Ibig sabihin, sana wag lang po natin habulin yung mga low-level workers, yung mga bots, but pati na rin yung mga mastermind. Pero mahirap pong gawin itong kind of research. Ang naging pangalan po sa methodology ng research na ito ay Disinformation for Hire, yung pag-aaral ng paano nagiging hanap buhay kumbaga ang paggawa ng fake news sa industriya. So ang napag-aralan namin ay